Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Mikala's Mind. I am Mikala from the morning show on 101.9 WDEZ, and today I want to talk a little bit about my readings that I do because I've talked about them on air a few times. However, you probably will not hear me talk a lot about them on air only because I don't want to push this type of thing on anybody. I don't want anybody to think that that I'm trying to, like I said, push my spiritual beliefs on anybody. So this is something that I'm putting on my podcast so that if people are interested in it, they may certainly listen to it. They can ask me questions about it. Absolutely. If it's not their thing, they can just ignore it and not have to listen to it. So I am a psychic medium. I get a lot of questions around that. I started doing readings for people probably about 2 years ago. And it's been a ride. I haven't done readings for a while because I've been so busy with my job, but I want to start getting back into them again. And I don't want to make this podcast too long, but I do want to kind of talk about what it's like for me and what kind of happens during a reading. So one thing I can't do is I can't tell you certain things. Like, for example, I've had somebody ask me what they had in their purse that they brought. I'm not going to be able to know that. Like something specific like that. I mean, if I could just on command answer your questions like that, I would be able to just know the lottery numbers and the winning lottery numbers, and then I'd be rich. So certain things like that, I'm not going to be able to just know. I'm not going to know when you're going to have a baby. I'm not going to know when you're going to die. There's certain things that we are not supposed to know because it would divert us from our path. So what I do is I can kind of connect with spirit, and I can kind of bring certain things forth, and it's always things they want you to know. So I mean, you can ask them certain questions, but I'm not going to always know the answer to it, but they will give me things to indicate that it is them. I can answer pretty much any question you have regarding the other side, heaven, the afterlife, whatever you want to call it. I will use those three words interchangeably. I'm not here to judge anybody's religion or spirituality. I'm just here to tell you what I've experienced and maybe what I think is going on. So yeah, I guess a typical reading for me would be, I like to do a 30-minute reading, especially at first, because you can always do more readings, but if something doesn't come through, it's kind of hard to sit there for an hour and when I don't have a message for you, because I only am going to tell you what they're telling me. And some people have a ton of things that they need to hear, and some people really don't have anything. And sometimes it's hard for me when people come to me with nothing in mind. They just want to see what I have to say, because sometimes they don't always need to hear something. They don't always have a message for them from a loved one, or sometimes they don't even have many loved ones that have passed on. So the biggest thing is the more faith you have and the more energy you have, the stronger and more successful the reading will be. If you come to me and you're a skeptic and you have nothing to ask, it's not going to be worth your time. I'm just telling you that right now. It's not going to be worth your time. It's not going to be worth your money, because I'm not here to blow people's minds. That is not why I do it. I don't do it for the publicity whatsoever. I do it because it's what I needed when my dad passed away, my stepdad. This was before I discovered I was a medium. Really, everybody has the ability. That's the thing. Everybody has the ability to tap into their mediumship, their intuition, because it's all energy, and science backs it up, actually. Not that I'm a fan of science, because, we haven't discovered most of our oceans. We don't use, more than 80% of our brain we don't use, so the fact that we try to prove things with human science, it just kind of makes me laugh. Like, we will never actually be able to prove everything. We will never be able to know everything. And it's just something that's why we have faith. You know what I mean? That's why we, that's where faith comes in. And we tend to want to prove everything, and we just can't. So anyway, what a typical reading will be like is I will sit down with the person. They will typically want to hear from a certain loved one, which it's up to them if they want to tell me who it is, or if they have multiple people. Sometimes too, they just let me tell them whoever comes first. I will start describing the person to them. They don't always tell me who they are. Actually, most of the time, they don't tell me how they're related to you or how they know you. They'll just come forward, and I will just start describing what they look like, what they're saying, what they're doing, their surroundings. They will start bringing up things like, for example, I've had a dad or a grandpa bring up like a toy train that they got this person, the client that I'm reading, years ago, and that left the client in tears because they were like, no way, how did you know that? Like really random little things that there's no way I should be able to know. It works better if I don't know anything about you. It's harder for me to read my family and friends because I know a lot of things about them, so it's hard to be like, oh, did you already just know that? Or even me, I'm like, did I already just know that, or is this being told to me? Every medium is different. They have different abilities, just like we all have different abilities. We're born with certain things. We're born with certain abilities, skills, and I believe that different people use a different percentage of their brain. So, there are people who are autistic and they're considered savants, where they can add really quickly or do math, like crazy math really quickly. And it's almost like magic. Like you don't know how that even works, but they're using a part of their brain, that most of us don't use or can't use or don't seem to have access to. So the thing is, everybody has access to it. We just don't always know how to access it. And it's all energy. It's all mindfulness. It's all faith and trusting. What you're hearing is not just your imagination. That's why it took so long for me to figure out that I was a medium, is because I kept thinking it was just my imagination. But then when I started kind of doing practice readings on people, it ended up being completely accurate and it started freaking people out. So I actually did readings for people for an entire year before I started charging people. And I started charging people because it was taking up a lot of my time. So, and I've gone to Matt Frazier. I've seen him live, and I would say that I'm just as accurate as he is. He has different abilities than I do, so he might sense things in a different way that I do because it's all about different senses too. So yeah, it's a lot, and I don't always know how to describe what I'm getting. It's kind of like, it's not seeing with your eyes and it's not hearing with your ears. It's, like I said, it feels like it's imagination. So if I tell you to imagine a snowman, you can picture it in your head, but you're not seeing it with your eyes, and you're not hearing it or feeling it or, with the senses that we already use, but you can just imagine it in your head. That's kind of what it's like. So yeah, this is kind of just like an introduction on what it's like to be a medium, I guess. Oh, also, I can turn it on and off. So a lot of people say they can't. I can. I will never tell you anything bad. I will never tell you bad news because they don't deliver bad news. At least they don't deliver bad news to me, because that would divert you from your path and it would give you anxiety and make you anxious. And there's certain things that you aren't supposed to know. So you simply will not be told them. If you go to a medium and they tell you when you're going to die, that's a scam. Just saying. And 100%, I know a lot of people are like, well, there's a lot of scams out there. Totally. There's totally a lot of scams out there. And you just have to find the one that resonates with you, I guess. Not all mediums, actually no medium is the same. And there are some self-proclaimed mediums that don't actually have the ability, or they do have the ability, they're just not using it correctly. Because really everybody has the ability, they just don't know how to open it up. So it's something that you can totally exercise and practice. And if you want questions on that, I can help you out. But yeah, that's basically just my perspective on what it's like. And I will be coming out with a lot more podcasts on this subject because I've gotten a lot of people wanting to learn more about it. So yeah, feel free to go on my Facebook or even text in to 39327 on the morning show, WDEZ, asking more about it, because I'd love to answer your questions. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on Mikala's Mind.